After the policy of adding points to the college entrance examination for dating came out, my boyfriend felt sorry for his stepsister and filled in her name in the girlfriend column. But I smiled and respected his choice. My boyfriend didn't know that after the dating points were added, the college entrance examination scores of the two of them would be evenly divided. That is to say, half of his college entrance examination score, which was the first in his grade, would be given to his stepsister who scored 0. When the policy of adding points to the college entrance examination for dating came out, the whole school was in an uproar. The teachers hurriedly held a meeting and then threw a stack of dating forms for the couples in the class to fill out. Starry held the form with a mouth big enough to swallow an egg. Shirley, guess how many points can be added to the college entrance examination for dating? I said expressionlessly, 50 points will be added to the total college entrance examination score. Starry looked at me in confusion, not understanding how I knew. I threw down the pen and pinched my eyebrows. I was reborn. On the other hand, when the policy of adding points to the college entrance examination for dating came out, I don't know how many invisible lovers were exposed. Everyone was excited. Dating could add points, and it was 50 points. How many people could be thrown off? But the happier they are now, the more miserable they will cry later. Because this love bonus policy is hidden, not as simple as everyone imagines. Just thinking about it, Starry shouted, "Why does your green tea stepsister get a watch? She doesn't have a boyfriend." I glanced and found that Faye was leaning against the side, and timidly stepped forward to get a watch. She deliberately bent down during the action. The zipper of the autumn school uniform jacket was pulled very low, and the suspenders and the looming spring scenery inside could be seen, which made the boys who handed out the love watch take a few more glances. I sneered. Faye always looked pitiful, but I knew that she was pretending. The actual Faye was selfish, cruel and vicious. Since being taken home by my father, I don't know how many disgusting methods she used on me and my mother. After being dealt with by me, she pretended to be pitiful to win sympathy. I tapped the table lightly, thinking about what Faye was going to do at this time in my previous life. Suddenly I stopped, my fingertips pinched into the flesh, and some blue veins popped out on the back of my hand. I remembered that my good sister was going to stab me in the back. Starry was also wondering what Faye was going to do. I curled my lips and smiled meaningfully. "If you don't have a boyfriend, grab one. But I don't know whose boyfriend you are going to grab." As soon as I said this, Faye panicked and hid the love form behind her without leaving a trace. Faye's reputation was very bad. She loved to flirt with boys. The girls in the class looked at her suspiciously and vigilantly. Some of them who had been unhappy with her for a long time snatched the love form from her back and exclaimed when they saw it. Faye filled in Ethan's name in the love object column. Everyone knows that Ethan and I are the second and the first in the same age. We have always been an excellent couple with equal strength that is tacitly approved by teachers and envied by classmates. The disgusted eyes of the girls in the class made Faye's face deformed with embarrassment, and she glared at me without leaving any trace. A sarcastic arc appeared at the corner of my mouth. Of course I knew that Faye wanted to fill in the form secretly and let Ethan hand it in. In this way, Ethan will bear most of the blame, and Faye can easily get herself out of it by crying and aggrieved, saying that she didn't know. It's a good trick, but she's dreaming in this life. At this point, Faye can only bite her lower lip and walk in front of me. "Sister, I don't want to steal your boyfriend, I just want to add points. If you are really petty and fussy, just hit me, I don't blame you." The girls in the class rolled their eyes collectively. We are all seniors and adults, and we are not forced to lower our intelligence. We can't hear Faye's gossip. Starry was angry and wanted to stand up for me, but I stopped Starry with a smile and raised my eyebrows at Faye. "I don't care, thank you. He is just a piece of trash. I have wanted to get rid of him for a long time. Forgot to say, you and Ethan are a perfect match. The dead green tea and the stupid scumbag are really a perfect match, the best match, and the perfect match. In my previous life, when I learned that Faye's love object was Ethan, I ridiculed Faye to pieces and she cried on the spot. Faye couldn't stand the grievance and went to Ethan to complain. The next second, Ethan came to me angrily to settle the score. Surely, I took the initiative to choose Faye as the one who gets extra points. Why are you bullying her? You have a bad temper and like to play tricks. Faye has a soft temper and doesn't care about it. How many grievances have she suffered in your family over the years? If you hadn't bullied her every day, would she have no time to study and her grades be so bad that she would get 0 points? Surely, Faye has been pitiful since she was a child. I just want to help her to the best of my ability. Looking at my gentle boyfriend trying to defend Faye, I opened my mouth, but my eyes turned red with anger. Faye is the illegitimate daughter brought in by my father who betrayed his marriage. After returning, she squeezed me and my mother everywhere. I was just fighting a defense battle, but in Ethan's eyes, it was bullying Faye. And grades, Faye spends her mind on improper things every day. When I was staying up late studying hard, she was playing with cosmetics, shaping her eyebrows and applying facial masks. When I went out for tutoring classes, she was making appointments with the boys in the class everywhere, enjoying romantic moments under the moonlight and among the flowers. When I was listening attentively in class, she was thinking about how to write a beautiful love letter. She deserved the 0 score she got. Although I dislike Faye, I also know that the college entrance examination is related to one's whole life. I'm not so malicious as to ruin her life. Angry and dizzy-headed, I told Ethan that if he filled in Faye as his romantic partner, we would break up. I also told Ethan's mother about this, and without hesitation, she gave Ethan a good beating. The matter of changing the romantic partner caused a big stir. The whole class wasn't blind and joined together to condemn Faye and Ethan. For a while, Faye and Ethan were like rats crossing the street, being shouted at by everyone. Faye was so angry that she was hospitalized. Ethan couldn't bear the strange looks from everyone either and finally took the initiative to make peace and change the name of his romantic partner to mine. However, I didn't expect that Ethan would hate me because of this. He thought that I forced him to break his promise and change his romantic partner, and that he had let Faye down. After Faye was hospitalized, he secretly visited her every day. Listening to Faye's crying, he felt guilty and distressed. After Faye scored 0 in the college entrance examination, Ethan's guilt reached its peak. He complained to me privately, if you were more generous and not so selfish, Faye would not have scored 0. After Faye graduated, she had no way to go. Ethan took the initiative to help Faye find a job, rent a house, and pay for water and electricity, as if he was raising a little lover. Faye was so proud that she came to my school to show off, making me a joke in the whole school. I questioned Ethan, and he sneered, if you hadn't selfishly forced me not to give her extra points, I wouldn't have tried so hard to compensate her. Even when the house caught fire and Faye and I were trapped inside, Ethan was the first to save the crying Faye. The fire was endless, and blisters appeared on my body. At the last moment of blurred consciousness, I heard Ethan gritting his teeth. Surely, you ruined Faye's life, you owe her this. Ethan has spent his whole life compensating Faye, so I will do as he wishes in this life. He can change his love partner if he wants. He will soon know that if he chooses Faye as a love partner, his life is doomed. I didn't fill out the love form, and let Faye and Ethan's names appear side by side on the form, and even persuaded the girls in the class not to embarrass Faye because of this. It's so funny, Faye is like a dead pig that is not afraid of boiling water, she has been used to being scolded. The worse she is scolded, the happier she is, because she can become a victim and complain to Ethan aggrievedly. Sure enough, no one scolded her, and Faye's face became uglier day by day. Looking at her embarrassed look of wanting to complain but not being able to find a reason, I laughed so hard that I trembled. Ethan felt guilty. During the big break, he bought me my favorite durian 1,000 layers. Ethan looked at me with burning eyes and affectionate eyes, and took the initiative to explain. Surely, Faye came to ask me. I had no choice but to agree to let her be my love interest. She has been poor since she was a child, and her grades are not as good as yours. I just want to help her. I am glad you don't mind. My girlfriend is really generous. Ethan smiled happily. I looked at him sarcastically. I didn't realize that Ethan and Faye are a pair before. One is more disgusting than the other. The air was terribly quiet. The smile on Ethan's face gradually disappeared. He looked at me nervously and handed me the durian 1,000 layer with some trepidation. Suddenly, I smiled. Ethan immediately breathed a sigh of relief, took my hand and kissed my palm. I threw away the durian 1,000 layer with my backhand, patted his face and said sarcastically, "What nonsense, you are already Faye's boyfriend. Per her, 1 extra point in the college entrance examination is not enough. Of course I have to take care of her for the rest of her life, great Saint Father." I bit the last few words very hard, and the sarcasm was overwhelming. Ethan stayed where he was. I pushed him away and focused my eyes on the exercises. Seeing that I ignored him, Ethan could only walk out disappointed. He met Faye with red eyes at the door of the classroom. "I'm sorry, brother Ethan, I made things difficult for you. I didn't know that my sister was so stingy. I'll go to the teacher to change it back. This is my fault. I can't bear to let my sister take it out on you," Faye said, tears flowing down. Ethan held her and said, "She just has a bad temper, but who told me to like her? I've endured it for so many years, it won't matter for a while, it's okay, don't worry." I finally couldn't help but stand up, grabbed the durian 1,000 layers in the trash can, and threw it at the two of them. "These two people are more like trash cans than trash cans," Faye screamed, and Ethan threatened me dissatisfiedly, "Surely, if you make trouble again, I really don't want you anymore." I laughed angrily and said coldly, "Get out now." Ethan was so angry that he trembled. "Okay, don't ask me to come back in the future." Faye was behind Ethan and deliberately showed a victorious smile. Ethan spent more and more time with Faye every day. Every day, Faye seemed to show off Ethan's thoughtfulness to her in front of me unintentionally. "Sister, brother Ethan is so gentle, you won't blame me, right? Sister, these 50 points are so easy to get. What's the point of studying so hard? You might as well learn how to capture a man's heart." I looked at Faye's triumphant smile and laughed. Rely on flirting and pitifulness to capture a man's heart. I really can't compare to this. I will never learn these methods of Faye, and I don't want to learn them. The daughter can't hold up its spine, and it can't get the tree to bend and surrender. Faye stared at me proudly. "You are just jealous of me." I really laughed out loud. The new policy was issued immediately. Faye was too proud too early. After the policy of adding college entrance examination points to love, another new policy was issued. All couples who participated in the college entrance examination bonus will share the college entrance examination scores equally. In other words, although Ethan is the first in the grade, half of his college entrance examination points will be given to his stepsister who scored 0 points. When this policy came out, all couples were silent. The ones with low scores were revelry, while the ones with high scores were full of pain. Starry was the first to go to the teacher and crossed out her name and the name of her boyfriend, a bad student and a school bully. She said soberly, "I can't ruin my future for an uncertain future. I have to be responsible for my 12 years. With Starry taking the lead, more and more people went to the class teacher and expressed their willingness to give up the extra points for love. For a time, I don't know how many couples broke up openly or secretly. Everyone knows that compared with the future, love is just a seasoning. Story poked me and taunted. The dead green tea and the scumbag haven't made any moves yet. Are you going to do pure love? I glanced at Faye. When the policy just came out, the most excited person in the class was Faye. She originally scored 0 points, but Ethan's score was almost full. If half of it was given to her, Faye would be right to say that it would soar to the sky. She even proudly revealed that Ethan told her that he would not give up this love point, and she could easily go to college without working hard. But as more and more people gave up, Faye gradually became uneasy. She was anxious. I sneered and walked slowly to her. Faye, Ethan's mother Tracy has spent more than 10 years raising such a son. What would she do if she knew that you wanted to split the score with Ethan? Faye bit her lower lip, her face pale. Even if Ethan was stupid enough to split the score with Faye, Tracy was not someone to be trifled with. Faye's wishful thinking did not work. Sure enough, after hearing the news, Tracy rushed directly to the school and slapped Faye in the face. Bitch, my son has been studying hard for 12 years, why do you share the results with him? Faye's face swelled up all of a sudden, and her eyes were filled with tears. Auntie, brother Ethan and I are in love with each other, and I really like him. Tracy was old and experienced, but she didn't fall for her tricks. She sneered and hit the nail on the head. If you really like him, don't harm him for life, bitch. Do you really think I can see through your thoughts? Tracy spat. My son and Shirley are a couple. You are right to steal my sister's boyfriend. You are better than Shirley. If she and my son get extra points together today, I won't say a word. Of course, although I am the second in age, my score is almost the same as Ethan's. If I get extra points together, both of us can get full marks directly. Faye lowered her eyebrows, but glanced at me with resentment. While I wasn't paying attention, Faye quietly stepped back a few steps, her body getting closer and closer to the stairs. She bit her lower lip, but showed a smug smile to Tracy. No matter what you say, I won't leave brother Ethan. You are not going to live long, so you should stop caring about your son's affairs. Tracy was angry, and was deliberately provoked by Faye. She was trembling with anger and wanted to hit Faye again. I saw Faye's feet tentatively move back, and my eyebrows jumped. I suddenly understood what she was going to do, and immediately shouted to Tracy. But it was too late. Before Tracy could rush to her, Faye deliberately slid down the stairs and rolled down. Faye screamed miserably, and Tracy was stunned. At this moment, Ethan just rushed over and caught a glimpse of this scene. Faye broke her foot and was hospitalized. She cried and shouted and threw herself into Ethan's arms. No one was allowed to visit. When I arrived, Tracy walked to me weakly, with turbid tears flashing in her eyes. It was only one morning, but she seemed to have aged a few years. Shirley, can you help me persuade Ethan? He wants to split the college entrance examination score with Faye to compensate her. I beg you, help me. I widened my eyes. I didn't expect Ethan to be so stupid. Anyone with a keen eye could see that this was Faye deliberately framing Tracy. Although Tracy has a bad temper, she is not a bad person. Even if she hates Faye, she would not do such a thing as pushing someone down the stairs. This is Ethan's biological mother, but Ethan does not trust his own mother. Tracy treated me like her own daughter and took care of me. I really couldn't bear to refuse. I found Ethan. Faye was leaning on Ethan's arms, crying, Brother Ethan, my leg is broken. I can't study anymore. My grades will decline. I was speechless. With Faye's score of 0, is there still room for decline? Ethan coaxed in a low voice. Don't be afraid. I have decided not to change my love partner. My college entrance examination score is the same as yours. I stood at the door and listened to this, showing a sneer. No one knows better than me how Ethan has come through these years. From elementary school to now, behind countless first place, there is his figure staying up late to brush questions until late at night. When others go out to play, Ethan and I squeeze in front of the narrow desk and solve those difficult problems together. Others say that Ethan and I have a talent for learning. But only we know that being smart is not enough. Those who come to the front are never lacking in talent. Along the way, everyone has been competing more for hard work and who is more hardworking. 1 minute on stage is 10 years of hard work off stage. Fate never rewards lazy people. The glory and praise Ethan has received are all the blood, tears and hard work of these years. But now, just because he feels sorry for Faye, he wants to give her half of the college entrance examination score. Without this half of the college entrance examination score, his efforts over the years are a joke. When Ethan saw me, he subconsciously let go of Faye, with a guilty look on his face. He followed me out. I looked at Ethan like he was an idiot and asked, "Do you really want to give half of the college entrance examination to Faye?" Ethan lazily lifted his eyelids and looked at me, impatiently. "Even you want to persuade me? Surely, I thought you understood me." I took a deep breath and said coldly, "I don't persuade you, I just want to tell you that there is only one chance of fate. If you can't catch it, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Whether you believe it or not, the college entrance examination is the only turning point in your fate. For ordinary people, the college entrance examination is still the only way out. Not to mention that Ethan's family is not well off. He has been relying on school subsidies to make ends meet all these years. Not for the grudges between us, for Tracy who is lingering on the sickbed and pinning her only hope on her son. I will remind him one last time." Ethan was silent for a while, and when he raised his head again, his eyes were full of rebellion and determination. "So what? I don't think the college entrance exam is above everything. Faye needs my protection. She's not as selfish as you, always thinking only of herself. She only has me. She treats me as her brother. I can't abandon her." I suddenly opened my mouth, but only let out a sarcastic laugh. A teenager with nothing said he wanted to protect another person. In the hot-blooded comics, I might be moved to tears. But reality will not give way to people's courage and moving, it will only make people broken into pieces. So I just think it's ridiculous. Faye walked out delicately with the door, looking at me warily. Then she hugged Ethan coquettishly and asked him to drive me away. Ethan coaxed her, then looked at me hesitantly. I turned around and walked away against the light without hesitation. I finally understood that it's useless to say more. I'll let them live this rotten and smelly life. As the deadline for giving up the extra points for love is getting closer, most of the couples in the class choose to give up and then work hard on their own. At this age when there is nothing, fragile love can't stand the test. And in the contrast of everyone, Faye and Ethan, who have never given up, are like outliers. A voice began to appear on campus, saying that the strong love between the two moved the world. Faye didn't like to study before, and now she doesn't need to study anymore. She visits the forum every day and happily serializes her love story with Ethan on it. In her article, "I am the vicious female supporting role who obstructs her love with Ethan, and abandons him because she doesn't want to share the score with the poor student Ethan." Faye couldn't spare the energy to study because she took care of Ethan, so Ethan, who got over the emotional injury and counterattacked to become a top student, resolutely took Faye as a love object and shared his college entrance examination score. From then on, Faye, the pure little white flower who stubbornly guarded love, finally got her reward. On the campus forum, a group of junior high school students who had not yet started to worry about the college entrance examination began to frequently sing praises to the pure and beautiful love between Faye and Ethan. The top student in the grade gave up half of his college entrance examination score for his girlfriend. What a beautiful love. I'm touched. The seniors are too low. They give up when they encounter a little difficulty. Two people accompany each other for life, but they still care about giving a little college entrance examination score. Senior Faye has met the right person. What a wonderful experience. She can be the heroine of a novel. Under Faith's deliberate guidance, it even triggered a verbal bullying against me. Everyone ran to my dynamics and scolded me for maliciously humiliating Faith and abandoning Ethan. Sooner or later, I will get retribution. When I came back to my senses from the piles of test papers, I had become the notorious villain in the whole school. Ethan forgot the initial regret and began to think that this is the life he should live. As for me, I am more and more desperate to invest all my time in learning. The college entrance examination is approaching, and many couples with excellent grades have received extra points for love. I am full of a sense of crisis. 50 points, for people with better grades, the greater the gap is. Once, I also thought about finding a boy with excellent grades to form a couple and add this love college entrance examination point. Many girls in the class did this, finding a boy with similar grades to pretend to be a couple and add love college entrance examination points. But after thinking about it all night, I finally chose to give up. Faye came to laugh at me for this. Sister, you are so rigid, you lost 50 points in vain. How long will you have to stay up late to study hard? You deserve to be useless. After saying that, she proudly showed off her smart move. Unlike me, I can get good grades just by relying on men. Faye turned her head and gave me a smug smile. I said, there is no good result from relying on men for extra points. Choosing a love partner to get extra points means that your score depends not only on yourself, but also on the other person. If the other person fails the college entrance examination or even misses the college entrance examination due to being late, or if the other person slacks off in the few remaining days because of extra points, you will have to bear huge risks. I don't like to put my fate in the hands of others. I like to control my own destiny. Missing an advantage may not be irreparable. Snails can still reach high places without strong long limbs. Plum blossoms can still bloom beautifully on steep cliffs. Faye got angry after hearing this and sneered, what's wrong with relying on men? From ancient times to the present, which woman doesn't rely on men? I can rely on men because of my ability. After Faye finished speaking, she laughed triumphantly. As I expected, many people, like the cool Faye and Ethan, became lazy and slack because of the love bonus, and quarrels broke out in the class almost every day. The allies who once trusted and entrusted their fate became the resentful couples who gnashed their teeth and cursed and resented. Starry, like me, did not choose to find a boyfriend as a love partner. Looking at the chaotic class, Starry was relieved. Surely, fortunately I believe you and did not choose an ally casually. If you use the energy of quarreling every day to study, you will have 50 points a long time ago. I pursed my lips and smiled. The sword that dominates fate will not hurt yourself only if you hold it in your own hands. Not only many allied couples in the class, but also the free-spirited Faye and Ethan, have unprecedented quarrels. As the college entrance examination is approaching, a large-scale joint examination is organized across the province. This joint examination imitates the college entrance examination throughout the whole process. It can be said that the results of this joint examination can very well represent the scores of the college entrance examination, and most importantly, this joint examination will also include the love bonus in the statistics. After playing for several months, Ethan did very poorly in the exam, and his ranking dropped from the first place in the grade to the 10th place. The head teacher entered the class with the ranking. Shirley is the first place, Starry is the second place, and the third place. Ethan's face became paler and paler until the names of the students in the class were almost finished. The head teacher glanced at Ethan coldly, and then slowly said, Ethan and Faye are ranked last in the class and ranked 1,000th in the grade. 999th place dropped from the first place in the grade to the middle and lower class. Ethan's face was completely bloodless. Faye was extremely happy and excited. Although she did not get rid of the last place in the class, she got rid of the last place in the grade. With this score, she can barely go to a low-end university.
This wasn't the first time. Hadn't this brute lost a lot of money gambling and in the stock market? How many times had my husband cleaned up his mess? It was all just an act of playing the victim.
This was like a needle stabbing Ethan. Ethan was so ashamed and angry that he wanted to die. I listened to the ranking read by the head teacher and thought about it. I found that most of the people who got extra points actually got lower rankings. On the contrary, those who did not get extra points for love, because they had enough pressure, put all their energy into studying, and their rankings improved by leaps and bounds, achieving self-transcendence. Obviously, the head teacher also found this problem and said meaningfully, everyone has seen that love affects study. Only sober people can always move forward. When saying this, the head teacher glanced at Ethan sharply, and Ethan almost lost his seat and fell headfirst. For the first time, Ethan panicked. He thought his grades would be a little worse, but he didn't expect that this result would embarrass him so much. Ethan tried to communicate with Faye, and he could guide Faye in study. Faye agreed obediently, and Ethan regained his confidence. He said coldly to the head teacher and the students who were watching the joke, the college entrance examination has not yet arrived. We still have time. Faye has a lot of room for improvement. It is not a problem to improve a few hundred points in a short period of time. You wait to be slapped in the face. I almost laughed when I saw this, thinking that Ethan was really naive. If Faye really wanted to study, she would not have scored 0 points. She was even too lazy to answer the multiple choice questions in the exam and handed in a blank paper. You can never wake up a person who pretends to sleep. Starry was so angry that her eyes were red, but she could do nothing. People always have fantasies about love and hope that someone will give up everything for them. Everyone thinks that love is to give up everything, but true love is an exchange of interests. Self-sacrificial love is morbid and not long-lasting. I looked at Faye's carefully written novel, and then at the bad reviews from my juniors. I clenched my palms tightly, and only calmed down a little when I felt the pain. If you don't punish me for 3 days, you will break the roof. This time, I will teach Faye a lesson. I recorded the novel as evidence, and took screenshots of the bad words that everyone used to scold me. I also added the signatures of all the girls in the class to prove it, and sent it to the police station, suing Faye for defamation and infringement, and maliciously guiding others to slander me. Faye, who is ignorant of the law, used her real name throughout the novel in order to teach me a lesson more harshly. I laughed out loud, and now Faye couldn't even quibble. With both witnesses and evidence, the police came to the school in the afternoon to arrest Faye. Faye was shocked and cried and begged Ethan to save her. Ethan came to me with clenched fists, his face livid. You are her sister, why do you embarrass her like this? I glanced at him impatiently. You have eaten E. coli in your mouth, right? Ethan was stunned. Starry burst into laughter. Yes, 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 why else would his mouth stink? Everyone stay away from him. Ethan was so angry that he trembled. Seeing that Faye was about to be taken away, Ethan finally got anxious. Surely, I know you are making things difficult for Faye because you hate that I chose Faye as the person who gets extra points for the college entrance examination. You want to be with me again. How about this? If you let Faye go, I will get back together with you and choose you as my love partner. He had a helpless expression, as if to say, I already know what you're thinking, you're almost done with it. Faye looked at Ethan, who sacrificed himself for her, with fear and expectation in her eyes. She was afraid that she couldn't get extra points for the college entrance examination, and she expected the police to let her go. The whole place was silent, and everyone was looking at me, wondering what I would choose. But I suddenly laughed. I stroked my hair slowly, and my voice was full of sarcasm. Look at you, What nonsense are you talking about? How could I stop you from devoting yourself? You are such a great warrior of pure love. What conditions are you talking about? You are not regretting it and don't want to give half of your college entrance examination score to Faye, so you are taking this opportunity to bring it up. Ethan's face flushed red as I hit the nail on the head. He shouted, "Don't talk nonsense. I keep my promise and will not selfishly break it. Just tell me whether you agree or not." I looked at Ethan with a smile and finally confirmed that deep in his heart, he had already begun to regret it vaguely. When everyone was trying to stop him, he was rebellious and refused to give up Faye. Now that everyone is praising his and Faye's beautiful love, he has begun to regret it. However, I will not let him regret it. There is only one chance for Fate. If you miss it, there will be no more. After today, the date for the love bonus will end, and Ethan can no longer change it. I laughed and raised my voice. I don't agree. How can I break you up when your love is so touching? I turned around and said that I would not forgive Faye, and asked the police to detain Faye for a few days to teach her a lesson. Sister, don't worry, have fun in the cell. Anyway, no matter how bad your grades are, you have Ethan to back you up. He is the top student in the grade. After these words came out, Faye's expression was relieved, while Ethan's face was completely pale. I looked at the two of them meaningfully. Ethan, you have got what you want in this life and can compensate Faye. Which way will you go? Let's wait and see. The deadline for giving up the extra love college entrance examination score has come, and only 1/5 of the couples in the school have chosen not to give up. Just like in the previous life, these couples are all people with similar grades. Only love that is evenly matched can stand the test. Ethan, who is the top student in the grade, and Faye, who is the bottom student in the grade, are the most special outliers in the school. After the final result was determined, the head teacher was so angry that he almost fainted. He cursed Ethan as a fool and was extremely disappointed with him. A few days later, Faye finally came out of the police station. With Ethan, her academic performance was guaranteed. Even if she couldn't enter a good university, it was enough for her to go to university. When her father found out, he praised her for her ability to control men and happily gave Faye a sum of money. Faye took the money and took Ethan to skip classes and spend money in various nightclubs all day long in order to get closer to her and Ethan and reduce Ethan's dissatisfaction with her. Ethan has been devoted to studying since he was a child. He has never seen the glamorous world outside. He completely sank in it in a few days. Faye took Ethan to dye his hair in various colors, tattooed her name on his arm, and cut a baggy school uniform to show their good figures. On rainy days, the two ran in the rain together and indulged in their youth. On sunny days, the two talked about the future under the flowers and trees. At night, the two entered one place after another with bright lights and wine. Faye knows how to control a man's heart. In just a few weeks, Ethan's love for Faye has risen from a sister's pity to a lover's admiration. Ethan and Faye's campus love has become more and more high profile, and they are immersed in the satisfaction of getting love every day. Ethan had to work hard to teach Faye to study seriously. Ethan began to teach Faye seriously, but he soon found in despair that it didn't work at all. Faye said she could do it when she was taught, but if she was asked to do it by herself, she couldn't even understand the questions. Ethan and Faye had a fierce quarrel. Faye cried in grievance and threw herself into Ethan's arms. "Brother Ethan, I can't learn. I can only rely on you. You said you won't despise me." Ethan froze in place, with a few traces of fatigue between his brows. Faye's side didn't work. Ethan could only think of himself. Ethan began to devote his energy to study again, but when he tried to reintegrate into the learning atmosphere, he suddenly found that he was abandoned. "The class has extra classes on weekends. Why didn't you tell me?" Ethan ran to the office angrily and questioned the head teacher dissatisfiedly. Since Ethan chose Faye as a love bonus object, the head teacher completely gave up on him. Regardless of any extra classes or activities in the class, Ethan was ignored. Faced with Ethan's questioning, the head teacher laughed sarcastically. His voice was cold. I won't spend my time on someone who can only get half of the college entrance examination score at most. Why, the path you chose yourself is not feasible. Ethan's face was ugly in an instant, but he couldn't say anything to refute. I have talent. I don't need extra classes. I can make up for it by attending classes normally. Ethan said stubbornly. Ethan gave up the bad habit of skipping classes and started to attend every class. But after less than a week, Ethan was about to collapse. He couldn't fit into the learning atmosphere of the class at all. In the whole class, everyone was struggling for the college entrance examination, anxiously looking forward to what kind of university they could enter. But he was different. No matter how high his score was, he had to give half of his score to Faye, so his choices were pitiful. Classmates didn't like to talk to him, and teachers of various subjects ignored his questions. Everyone just treated him as air. He lost the most basic principle of getting along with them, just like a gray ugly little swan walked into a group of swans. When he just announced that he chose Faye as the object of love bonus, everyone praised him as the god of pure love. But now he is the laughingstock of everyone. Even some ignorant juniors and juniors gradually came to their senses and deleted the praises of Faye and Ethan's love. Help! Was my brain sick before? I actually support this kind of love. Love is not about mutual achievement. Why do Faye and Ethan seem to drag each other down? Upstairs, the novel returns to reality. I really can't support it at all. Am I the only one who thinks Ethan is stupid? How much effort does it take to be the first in grade? Share half with Faye, and all those hard days of studying will be in vain. Listening to the comments on campus, Ethan became more and more irritable day by day. And something happened, which turned Ethan's irritability into panic. Tracy found out about Ethan's grades. This single mother from the countryside came here alone so that her son could get the best education. She worked hard all her life and placed her hopes on her son. When she saw Ethan's grades, she was still sick and was so angry that she went to the ICU. Ethan stood outside the door with a panicked look on his face and trembling all over. I then realized that Ethan had been lying to Tracy, saying that he had changed his lover to me. The truth was torn apart in blood. Tracy couldn't stand the stimulation and went to the ICU in anger. I walked coldly to Ethan and slapped him directly. Ethan held his face and broke down and cried. I sneered, what's the point of crying now? Last time I advised you, you said you would never regret it, but you dared to lie to your aunt. I was so angry that I was shaking all over. Ethan and I are neighbors. I often went to Ethan's house to do homework since I was a child. Tracy was alone and fierce to outsiders, but she was very caring to me. She treated me as her own daughter and would think of me when she had something delicious. That's why, when she begged me to persuade Ethan, even though I hated Ethan, I still went. The lights in the operating room went out. Ethan and I were allowed to visit. Tracy's eyes flowed with tears. She called me to the bedside and covered my hand with her dry hand like tree bark. Shirley, Auntie, please do me a favor. Can you remove Ethan's love college entrance examination score? I was stunned in surprise. Tracy actually knew that I could remove this love college entrance examination score. I really can. My uncle is very powerful and has asked me several times if I want to find someone to add love college entrance examination points, but I refused every time. Tracy's face was full of shame, and she hurried to get out of bed and kneel in front of me. This woman who has been strong all her life is kneeling in front of me to find a way out for her son. No one can refuse a mother's plea. I agreed, and looked at Ethan coldly. What's your opinion? Ethan hesitated for a moment, then nodded firmly. I sighed, and glanced out the window, only to see Faye standing in front of the transparent window, staring at Tracy with resentment, gritting her teeth and wishing she could eat her. Realizing my warning gaze, Faye turned away angrily. At noon, Ethan went home to get Tracy a change of clothes. I was sitting, and heard the nurse call someone to see me. I went out to look for a circle, but I couldn't find anyone. Thinking of Faye's resentful expression when she left, my heart suddenly jumped, and I ran back to the ward. When I was near the ward, I heard Faye's resentful voice. "You old fool, you dare to ruin my future. Why are you all partial to Shirley? What good has she done for you? If you dare to let Ethan abandon me and not add points to the Love College entrance examination, I will report Shirley and make her go to jail and unable to take the college entrance examination. Of course, Ethan can't escape either. You don't know yet." Faye laughed viciously again. "Do you think he is still your excellent student son? He has been led astray by me for a long time. He smokes, drinks, plays cards, has tattoos on his hands, and fights with gangsters for me. I even recorded the video. As long as it is released, he will be arrested. He looks the same as your dead domestic violence husband now, hee. The last sentence is really heartbreaking. Tracy hates Ethan's father the most. Her biggest wish is to make her son a good student with good conduct, not like his domestic violence father." Tracy was stimulated and stared straight, and the machine beside her made a sharp explosion sound. I rushed in and kicked Faye to shut her up, and then a large group of nurses and doctors rushed in, pushing Tracy to the operating room. After a long time, the lights in the operating room went out again. "Tracy died," the doctor said heavily. "Ms. John asked me to tell you a message before she died. Let you give up helping Ethan, Ms. Tracy said. Don't be stained by dust, sober and independent." I cried bitterly. The first sentence was that Aunt John was afraid that the failure would implicate me, so she asked me to give up helping Ethan. And the second sentence, she hoped that I would be a sober girl. Only by being sober can you be independent. Ethan hurried over, and Faye rushed into Ethan's arms first. "Brother Ethan," Shirley's nonsense made Auntie angry to death. Ethan glared at me fiercely, his eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Faye glanced at me triumphantly, revealing a victorious smile. I gritted my teeth and said coldly, "Faye, you really pissed me off." Faye was stunned, showing a frightened expression, and forced herself to calm down and said, "What can you do? It's obviously your fault." Ethan subconsciously protected Faye behind him and frowned and asked, "Don't scare her. What's going on? Tell me clearly." I didn't bother to look at Ethan and said directly, "I won't help you with the love bonus." Ethan's face changed drastically, and he said angrily, "Shirley, you clearly promised." Even at this time, he still subconsciously protected Faye behind him. I sneered, "Because you don't deserve it." Faye behind me got what she wanted. Her eyes narrowed with a smile, looking in the direction of the operating room. The corners of her mouth unconsciously rose. I pulled Faye out and threw her on the ground, and Faye screamed. I controlled her and said lightly, "You know there are surveillance cameras in this ward." Faye's face changed immediately. She suddenly knelt down and begged me not to hand over the surveillance cameras to the police. She was afraid of being detained last time. Ethan looked at Faye stiffly, gritting his teeth. "So, you killed my mother." Faye rolled over in grievance. "Brother Ethan, I just said that I like you and that I will be your wife and give birth to your children in the future, but your mother is not happy." And she glared at me and was angry to death. "Brother Ethan, if the police come, I will go to jail. You said you would protect me, and I want to be with you forever." Ethan was a little unsteady for a moment, and his expression was tangled. After a long time, Ethan said to me with an ugly face, "Shirley, I beg you, forget it. My mother's health is not good. It may not be Faye's fault." I had guessed the result long ago, but I was still chilled by Ethan's indifference. I didn't call the police, I knew it would be useless even if I called them. After all, I am an outsider, and I can't get involved in other people's family affairs. But I won't let Faye go. She dared to indirectly kill Tracy. I will make her pay a heavy price. As the college entrance examination approached, I spent my time studying and racking my brains to find something to hold against my father, so that he and Faye, his illegitimate daughter, could be driven out of the house and left on the streets. My father was just a son-in-law, and he had been living a prosperous life for many years thanks to my mother. But even so, he dared to have an illegitimate daughter behind my mother's back. My mother was kind and soft-hearted, and I wanted to tolerate Faye, but now I see her cruel and vicious side. I realized that Faye could not stay. Faye and my father were driven out by me and did not get a penny. Faye stared at me holding her things, wishing she could pounce on me and bite me to death. I leaned against the door and sneered, "Think about what you should do in the future." The eyes of the two were full of despair. Both of them were useless and had only a miserable future waiting for them. The college entrance examination finally came. I thought I would be nervous, but when I really got to the examination room, I felt very calm. Ethan, on the other hand, was shaking like a sieve before entering the examination room, and his face was pale after leaving the examination room. After the results were announced, I knew why Ethan was pale. He did very badly in the exam, only 400 points, nearly 200 points lower than usual. Faye, as expected, scored 0 again. Ethan's 400 points, plus the 100 points added for their love, the total score was 500 points, and the two of them scored 250 points each. Ethan fainted when he saw the score. Faye's face was distorted. 250 points was actually not much different from 0. But Faye lost everything. The reward money her father gave her was spent. Because she angered me, I kicked her out of the house and she could only live with her father in a dark and narrow basement. Because she was with Ethan openly, she couldn't hook up with other boys, and naturally she couldn't get any benefits. She put all her future on Ethan. But Ethan failed, and Faye became anxious and irritable all day, cursing Ethan with the most vicious words. "What kind of academic master is this? You are such a loser, you only got such a low score. I was really blind to choose you as my love partner." Ethan, who was already depressed and wanted to find Faye for comfort, was dumbfounded. It was not until this time that Ethan realized that all Faye's pitiful dependence was fake. Ethan couldn't even find someone to comfort him, and his mother who loved him the most was dead. The rest were all people who laughed at Ethan. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, he couldn't sleep in pain, and he was so depressed that he wanted to commit suicide. And I broke through my own limits, got full marks, and became the top scorer in the college entrance examination in the school. At the graduation ceremony, Story and I clinked glasses. Story said, "Did you notice that those who did poorly in the college entrance examination all got extra love points?" I laughed, but my smile was bitter. Yes, all the couples who got extra love points did poorly in the exam, including me and Ethan in my previous life. My score was not as high as it is now, and I feel painful and regretful every day. But fortunately, in this life, the rain has passed and the sky has cleared up, as if I were reborn. This year's college entrance examination was very controversial. Most people who chose to add love points failed extremely badly, which led to no one wanting to add love points. The policy of adding love points was hastily introduced and was cancelled in the second year of implementation. Unlike my previous life, in this life, I entered the university of my dreams. In my previous life, I added love points, but I learned that my favorite university did not recruit students who added love points. The explanation they gave was that the school preferred students who worked hard on their own. In the end, I could only regretfully choose the same university with Ethan and start a life that was not so good. In this life, Ethan and Faye were barely admitted to a junior college. In my previous life, Ethan and I were in the same university, but in this life, we took different paths. After entering university, I was busy doing all kinds of things, joining clubs, learning skills online, traveling abroad to gain knowledge, taking postgraduate entrance exams and studying for a doctorate, and there were countless things waiting for me to achieve. Whether I was at home or traveling, I never saw Ethan once. It seemed that our life paths had completely diverged. I really met Ethan and Faye at the school anniversary party 7 years later. Starry and I returned to No. 1 middle school at the same time. We smiled at each other when we saw each other. Since we went our separate ways after graduation, we rarely met. Everyone was running and shining in their own fields. The party was full of outstanding talents chatting and laughing. When Starry and I appeared, we instantly caused a sensation. Everyone looked back and forth at Starry and me, with envy on their faces. I often see you two sisters on TV, and now I can see you in person. At the beginning, both of you chose not to add extra points, and I laughed at you for being stupid. Who knew you were sober? The speaker was the class monitor. She and her boyfriend had similar grades, so she participated in the love extra points, but she didn't do well in the exam. She and her boyfriend hated each other and broke up for a long time. Starry waved her hand to show the ring on her hand, and smiled. I have never broken up, and I have already planned to get married. Starry was the first to give up the love bonus points, and her boyfriend, a poor student and a school bully, cried all night out of grievance. Everyone thought they were going to break up, but unexpectedly, the school bully boyfriend suddenly stopped giving up and focused on studying. He got good grades in the college entrance examination and took the initiative to confess to Starry again. Someone suddenly said, "See, true love is to work hard, not to drag down those with good grades, such as Ethan and Faye." When it comes to Ethan, everyone fell into strange silence. Someone frowned and said, "Ethan, it's a pity. If it weren't for Faye, he would be so successful now." Immediately, a boy sneered, "What a pity, he is fascinated by Faye himself. I really don't understand why he likes Faye. He really thinks Faye is a pure person." Before he said anything, a haggard woman suddenly rushed up from the corner, pinched him resentfully, and screamed, "Shut up, don't talk nonsense." Several teachers hurried over and saw Faye and immediately frowned. "You were not invited to the school celebration. How did you get in?" Faye pointed to the corner proudly. "He came to fix the water and electricity. Of course I can follow him in." I looked over along Faye's hand and found that Ethan was standing in the dim corner. I didn't know how long he had been listening. His face was gloomy, but he was stunned when he saw me, and some nostalgia and attachment rose in his eyes. The scene where the teachers drove the two people away in a harsh voice and fawned on us in a gentle voice formed a sharp contrast. Ethan's face turned red and twisted, full of embarrassment. Over the years, I occasionally heard about Ethan. He and Faye dropped out of school before finishing junior college. Faye hated studying, and Ethan couldn't stand the mocking eyes of others. Everyone knew that he, a fool, gave up half of his college entrance examination score for Faye. The two drifted north, thinking that the world was vast and there were many opportunities, and academic qualifications were not important. Educational qualifications really don't play a big role, but they are the first stepping stone. Faye and Ethan were stopped outside the door and didn't even get the admission ticket. 2 years later, the two returned to the small county town in disgrace. After graduation, because of the frequent miscarriages and the lack of timely care, and because of the rush of this year, Faye's blooming period quickly ended. She couldn't even find a man to rely on, and could only angrily make do with Ethan. Ethan was also full of resentment towards Faye. Just like in his previous life, he hated me countless times, hating Faye for ruining his life. Whenever this happened, Faye would sneer, "You are stupid," and insist on pitying me. "Who cares about your pity? If you have the ability, you can be as sober as Shirley. You made the extra choice yourself, but now you blame me. Ethan's face suddenly turned pale. The two lived like this, hating each other, struggling and wailing at the bottom. When the party ended, Ethan was waiting for me outside. When he saw me, a trace of expectation flashed across his face. He rubbed his hands awkwardly and called carefully, "Shirley, long time no see." I kept walking. A handsome man in a windbreaker got out of the car, and I threw myself into his arms, with stars in my eyes. I turned my head and pointed at Ethan, my high school boyfriend. I changed to my stepsister's boyfriend for the love bonus. Ethan's eyes flashed with pain. My current boyfriend hugged me carefully, glanced at Ethan, and said loudly, "Thank you for your choice at that time, otherwise I wouldn't have met Shirley." Ethan was embarrassed and his face was pale and wrong. My current boyfriend opened the car door and helped me get in the car, saying gently, "I bought a small cake for you in the car. Eat it first. I will cook as soon as I get home." I smiled. In fact, only when you really go out, you will understand that there are proud children everywhere, and the first in the grade back then is just the most inconspicuous one among the vast number of people. The truly powerful people are tough on the outside and soft on the inside, humble and polite. Just like my current boyfriend, who was born rich and received top education, he never boasted or exaggerated, and never thought that I was superior to him. He was considerate and gentle in every word and action. In my previous life, after I was with Ethan, even without Faye, my life was actually a mess. Because he was the oldest, he always felt that I took advantage of him and was inferior to him. When we were together, he was always superior and belittled me everywhere. So in my new life, I resisted adding points to love from the bottom of my heart. Later, I met my boyfriend. He pursued me patiently and gently for 3 years, and ironed out my small scars bit by bit. Through the car window, I took a last look at Ethan. He stood there, his thin body stiff and numb, and then suddenly raised his hand to cover his eyebrows and eyes, and also covered the tiny sobs in the wind. He cried miserably. I calmly withdrew my gaze. To make a living before making love, to love others before loving yourself. The gears of fate have always only turned for sober people.